Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me. As you can tell by the thumbnail, Missouri cave temple discovered. 9-foot giant. Slowly making my way back through Anomalous America, Missouri episode due to the glitch with SteamYard and my audio being so horrible. As I find time, I'm making my way back through and recording the clips that I feel were too good to pass up on, and this being one of them. So, yeah, without further ado, here we go. Let's jump back into this one. Some of you may remember, some of you may not. Wonderful Caverns, Pennsylvania newspaper, 1880. Prehistoric remains lately found in Missouri and Ohio. Gonna go full screen here. A Missouri cave temple. A correspondent describes a cave recently explored in Monroe County, Missouri. It is in a limestone ridge at the headwaters of Salt River, which empties into the Mississippi. This ridge is known in the locality as the Narrows, and its rocky bluffs, rising to the height of 200 feet, present a bold and picturesque scene. It has had a local fame on account of the many Indian curiosities found there. Indian mounds are numerous on the rocky ledge, and Indian skulls, arrowheads, flint hammers, and iron and stone hatchets have been found in considerable numbers. A recent discovery there caused a correspondent to visit Mr. Waldron, the owner of the land, and this account is given of the exploration. Without much difficulty, I found Mr. Waldron, the discoverer of the temple, on whose land it is situated. He proposed, as it was late, that I should remain with him during the night and walk over and see the temple in the morning. I assented, and after supper, Mr. Waldron brought out some articles that he had found in the temple for my inspection. They were a bronze hatchet or hammer, having an eye and a heavy knob on the hammer portion, a rude bronze lance or arrowhead more than 6 inches in length, a piece of deer or elk horn about 9 inches in length, from which small branches were given off, and an elliptical piece of bronze on which was cut in a rude manner an imitation of the sun and some alphabetical characters closely resembling the Phoenician. The next morning, with Mr. Waldron and his 2 sons, I set out to visit the temple. Our way lay through a low bottom covered with a dense growth of timber. We soon found ourselves before the cleft in the rock, and after lighting a torch, we entered. The arch is elliptical, and for gracefulness of curve and beauty of finish is not excelled by any of the works of the present day. Each stone is of the finest granite, polished as smooth as glass, and they sent back reflections of our torches like polished steel. The springer rests on an entablature which is placed on the capital of a beautiful column, also hewn from granite. The keystone of the arch projects from the inferior stones, and seems to have been finished with the view of placing an inscription thereon. But this was never done. Passing under the arch, we found ourselves in a room hewn out of solid limestone, 35 feet wide, 50 feet long, 30 feet high, and vaulted to the center, the ceiling being 45 feet from the floor to the middle of the room. At intervals of 10 feet are graceful, slender columns of granite, with square base fantastically carved in imitation of some unknown plant. The shafts, like the shafts supporting the arch, are supported by a capital. Upon this rests a heavy entablature of magnesian limestone, which is closely fitted under the roof and gives the columns the appearance of supporting the ceiling. The acoustic properties of the temple are remarkable. A whisper can be heard from one end of the room to the other. There are 12 columns in the temple, 6 on each side. Between the columns on each side of the temple and on each side of the arch, or entrance to the temple, are set into the wall blocks of polished gray and black granite. But there is no inscription on any of them, no sculpture of any kind, except the plants mentioned above, has been discovered. At the western portion of the room is a dais, or raised platform of polished limestone, which supports a huge block of granite 5 feet long and 24 inches thick. On this is laid a slab of polished and beveled granite, smoother than marble. This slab projects over the block beneath it, about 6 inches on every side, and is 6 feet long and 3 wide. Evidently, this was an altar, for there are ashes scattered around. What was the character of this sacrifice? To the right of the altar is a small anteroom, which you enter through an arched doorway, evidently intended for the priest who attended to the duties of the altar. About this there is nothing destructive. It is not even certain by what means it was shut off from the auditorium. The place is wonderfully dry. The ravages of time have not in the least impaired it, and every portion retains the freshness and glow that it had when it came from the hands of the workmen. It is undoubtedly one of the greatest curiosities of its age, and is attracting the attention of archaeologists. An exhaustive report is now being prepared by a committee, which is to be presented to the Historical Society of the state of Missouri. That it will add fresh interest to the study of the civilization that preceded the present Indian tribes of this country seems probable. Now, again, this is hopping to a different location, but due to it being part of the same article, I'm going to include it. So we're going to hop into tablets, carving, and mummies in an Ohio cave. Just keep that in mind. But here we go. Adams County, Ohio, is rich in remains of prehistoric mounds and fortifications, and is the mecca of enthusiastic archaeologists. Most of the mounds are on the alluvial bottomlands of the Ohio River. 17 miles northeast of Manchester is a prehistoric cavern in which wonderful discoveries have lately been made of great interest to the scientific world. They throw much light on the character and habits of this remarkable people, evidences of whose high civilization have been preserved to us. A correspondent of the New York Sun lately visited this cavern and gives the description of recent discoveries. The entrance to the cave is choked up with the debris of ages, but traces of a flight of steps are to be seen. The entrance is at the bottom of a sinkhole, which is nearly in the center of a level field. This field is 200 acres in extent and is bounded on all sides by lofty hills. It is about 25 feet from the surface of the ground to the bottom of the cave. I have been unable to learn when this cave was first discovered. It was known to the earliest settlers, and they no doubt learned of its existence from the Indians. It contains 9 chambers or rooms. These apartments are connected by narrow galleries. All but the third one from the entrance are mathematically regular in shape, being about 30 feet in length, 20 feet in width, and 15 in height. The galleries are the same height as the main rooms, but are only 6 feet wide. The excavation passes through a solid ledge of free stone, which is bisected about 100 feet from the mouth by a vein of limestone. The chamber where the limestone crops out is a regular shape. The water has oozed through the limestone rock for ages and formed thousands of beautiful stalactites and stalagmites. The cave is much visited by picnic parties, and every corner of it has been thoroughly explored 1,000 times. The fourth chamber has a deep well in one corner, at the bottom of which is a stream of water. The depth of the well is unknown, but it must be several hundred feet. A few days ago, a party of gentlemen paid a visit to this cave, equipped to explore this mysterious well. 45 feet from the top of the well, they found the entrance to a second cavern, which proved to be the main family tomb of a race of gigantic men. A narrow gallery, which expanded as they left the wall behind them well, opened into a lofty chamber 220 feet long and 110 feet wide. The walls, floor, and roof of this immense room are smoothly finished. In the center of the apartment is a sarcophagus and a mausoleum combined. The mausoleum at its base measures 55 by 35 feet. It is of simple, though beautiful design and carved out of solid rock. Its base is parallel on all sides, these panels containing bas reliefs which are supposed to illustrate the four seasons in man's life: childhood, youth, manhood, and old age. At the ends of the bas reliefs are tables full of written characters, resembling the Hebrew, presumed to be memoriams of the person or persons in whose honor the mausoleum is erected. The carving on the panels is of the most delicate description and fully equal to the Grecian school of sculpture. In the limits of a newspaper article, they cannot be described as they deserve. From the floor to the top of this base is 6 feet. The base is hollowed out at the four corners, and these excavations are covered with slabs of freestone, accurately fitted and so firmly cemented that a cold chisel struck with a heavy hammer made little to no impression on the cement. They are of uniform size, measuring 5 by 12 feet. In the center of the mausoleum rises a couch, 2 feet 5 inches in height, 12 feet in length, and 5 feet in width. On this couch is extended the figure of a man. It is probably life size and measures 9 feet 4 inches in length. The limbs are nicely proportioned and dispose in an easy and graceful manner. The arms folded across the breast and the fingers clasped a bunch of leaves resembling oak, which are reproduced with great fidelity to nature. The figure is partially nude. A mantle or scarf crossing the breast and falling over the loins is gracefully folded. The face is one of the great strength and beauty, and the outline and contour are decidedly Israelish. Israelitish. The head is covered with a winged something elegantly chiseled and kept in position by rods of the same metal. At each corner of the mausoleum rises a carved pyramidal column surmounted by caps that are unmistakably Doric. On two sides of the room are tombs of humbler design. They are side by side, uniform size, and 20 in number, 10 on a side. Like the mausoleum, they are carved out of the solid rock and embellished with bas reliefs. On the front of each is a raised scroll covered with written characters similar to those of the panels of the mausoleum. On the wall of the room opposite of the entrance are painted 25 faces. They are faded and blurred, but still distinct enough to be deciphered. The colors used are red, yellow, black, and white, and were mixed with oil. The portraits are executed in a superior manner, and the anatomy proportion of the features is preserved to an exact degree. The explorers opened one of the small tombs. It contained a splendidly preserved mummy, swathed in cloth covered with a thick varnish, which emits a pleasant aromatic odor, not unlike balsam of fir. The mummy measures 9 feet 1 inch in length, and the cloth with which it is wrapped, although of coarse texture, is skillfully woven. One of the party cut the wrappings from the face, but did it so clumsily that the head crumbled into dust. Portions of the hair remained sticking to the cloth. and your correspondent has some of it before him while this article is being written. It is black, curly, and of fine texture. Beside the body of the giant, the tomb contained a spearhead, a hatchet, two lances, three mattocks or holes, a spade, a cup, two plates, and a small urn of all copper. The smallest cup and one of the lances have been shown your correspondent. These wonderful people understood the secret of hardening copper, for an ordinary file will barely scratch the lance, and the edge of a cold chisel turns up like lead when struck against it. The cup is a softer metal and beautifully engraved with trailing vines and wreaths. A square package at the head of the tomb, wrapped in the varnished cloth, contained a book of 100 leaves of thin copper, fastened loosely at the top and crowded with finely engraved characters similar to those already described. The Sun representative visited the cave and examined it thoroughly. The upper cave was evidently the cellar of a house above ground and used for domestic purposes or as a place of retreat in case of attack by an enemy. In the first two chambers and the last five are many curious blocks of stone shaped like tables and bricks which have therefore been thought of natural origin. The marks of chisel and picks are found on them. However, these artificial agents formed the whole cavern. The irregularity of the limestone chamber is due to natural causes. In all probability, this room was dry when the wonderful people who designed and built it were alive. The stalactites and stalagmites have formed since. I measure one of the largest of the former. It was 5 feet 6 and 1.5 inches from base to apex. Allowing that it lengthened at the rate of 1 inch every 50 years, which a geological friend tells me is very rapid growth, it would have been 3,325 years, reaching its present length. Conjecture alone can fix the date of the last occupancy of this cave. It must have been years before the stalactites began to form. The owner of the farm on which the cave is situated has associated with himself several gentlemen of capital, and they intend opening the tombs and the big mausoleum, putting stairways, and then advertising the curiosities and throwing the cave open to the general public. Mr. Grooms is anxious to have the cave examined by an expert, and an account of the discoveries, together with the engraved book and the tools found in the tomb, will be at once forwarded to the Smithsonian Institution. Oh, well, that's a crime, isn't it? We all know where that disappeared to, huh? Um, but yeah, there you have it. So again, kind of a two-parter: cave systems found in Missouri, cave systems found in Ohio. But yeah, a little under 20 minutes, so perfect. Hope you enjoyed this article, and look forward to more in the future, of course. And thanks as always for joining me, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.